what is common purpose doing, in my opinion, and what did all my research show, that it was basically creating chosen leaders. It was involved in changing their views and values and behavior. I was reframing them in order that they felt they'd been chosen and selected as future leaders. And if you go to the present website, which is very, very glossy, it's very different from the website Common Purpose had several years ago. But if you go to the present website, you can see that they're talking about providing leaders for the new world, essentially, that we are going to have people working across boundaries, across nation states, across religion. They're going to be these chosen leaders, thought leaders, and these are going to be the people who are creating our world, our society. But the key question people have got to ask themselves is, who were, and indeed who are the power people, the funders behind this organization? And then just to join in with your Cressida Dick was trained by Common Purpose, and therefore before you can deal with her as a police woman, a police officer, you've got to realize that she is a chosen future leader.
Mm-hmm. See, now here's the thing, is that I mentioned Common Purpose to some friends, they'd never heard of them. They're like the most powerful organization that very few people know anything about. So what influence do they have in society? So they're in the police, hospitals, schools, Chamber of Commerce, etc., etc. They go through this course. They're called graduates. I listened to an interview where you were talking about them. You say they are taking society apart.
Well, that's absolutely correct. If I go back to the start of my investigation into Common Purpose, it was because I also didn't know anything about them, and a gentleman in Plymouth who was very concerned about them mentioned them to me. I didn't know what he was talking about, so I started to investigate, and I discovered, yes, as you've described, they were embedded across society in Plymouth, police, schools, hospitals, military, local authority, colleges, every part of the local structure. I then discovered that was mirrored across the country. We then say, well, what are they actually doing with these people? Well, what you could see was happening was that they were using this quasi-secret network. It's not totally secret, because if you know where to look for it, you can find it. But essentially, Common Purpose had buried its leaders in all of these organizations, and it was using those buried leaders to control what the organizations did. And some of it was extremely pernicious, because of course, if they could get one of the, let's say a local authority, they could get one of the people who controlled budgets. If they could get them on board Common Purpose, then they could use that person to help them recruit and fund further Common Purpose training courses. And this was mirrored across the country, Sheffield in particular, this was done. I have an old website, but it has a lot of information on if people want to see real documents instead of just listen to what I'm saying today. They should go to cpexposed.com, and you will find that you can search for the police or local authorities. Mm-hmm. You can search for documents and you can see the real dialogue. But even in one police authority, they were using quite a senior police officer to recruit. He was one of the so-called Common Purpose Advisory Board members, and he was being used in order to bring other people into the Common Purpose fold. Now, this is very interesting, because is that what a police officer is paid to do? No, but Common Purpose specifically says it's training people to, quote, lead beyond their authority.
Outside authority, right? Yeah.
Yes. And this of course is where, if we come to Cressida Dick, if she's been trained to lead outside authority, she's been selected by Common Purpose, then she will be doing all sorts of things that the public has no idea what it is, or who authorized it, or indeed whether it should be done. This is why in my opinion, and the Daily Mail back in 2012 was beginning to understand it, realized that this was a very pernicious and I would say dangerous organization, because it's got huge power and influence, but it's totally unaccountable.